watching angels from on high. Peace from the King, the ruler over all things, the Holy One, blessed be He. And may all your comings ever be in peace, and watched by angels from on high. From the King, the ruler over all things, the Holy One, blessed be He. Bless us with peace, ye watching angels who bring peace, ye watching angels from on high. Peace from the King, the ruler over all things, the Holy One, blessed be He. And may all your goings ever be in peace, and watched by angels from on high. From the King, the ruler over all things, the Holy One, blessed be He.
Hi, everybody. Wasn't that a gorgeous song? I didn't write that one. I wish I did. It's an ancient Hebrew melody, Peace Be Unto You. And of course, being a Hebrew song, the word peace in its original form, the word would have been shalom, of course, which is a much deeper word than we normally think about when we think of peace. When we think of peace, we usually think, absence of conflict, where shalom is a much more fully orbed word. That's even hard to really understand, I think. When I was in Israel several years ago, I couldn't help but notice that people greeted each other with shalom, peace, with the same casualness that we would say hello or hi to each other. And they're always saying, shalom, shalom. And even in the Arab community, it's assalam. It's the same word, peace to you. And I remember coming back and thinking, oh, that's so beautiful. People are constantly blessing each other with peace. And we just say stupid things like hello or hi. It's meaningless. And then it dawned on me that those words, hello, and must come from somewhere. And I looked it up, and sure enough, and it's kind of nice, actually. I learned that hello is a contraction of an Old English greeting, whole be thou. Hello, whole be thou. That's where that comes from. So next time you say hi or hello, these are all derivatives or contractions of that phrase, but impregnate it with blessing. When you say hello to someone else, just say hello, but mean whole be thou. It's lovely. I want to step out of Advent just for a second. I'm going to play you a song from the season of Epiphany. I said in the first episode that I didn't grow up with the season of Advent. Christmas to us was a single day. It's something that happened once a year on the 25th, right? We had, of course, Christmas Eve, and so it's more than one day. But basically, it was around that one day. But that, of course, is not the truth of the tradition. Traditionally, Christmas Tide was a much broader season where it had 4 weeks of Advent, preparing, waiting, It had 12 days of Christmas, not one, and there's lots of feasts in there that all sort of impregnate the season with meaning. And then there was another sort of month or so called Epiphany. Advent was the season that we celebrated the goodness of the human person that was created and blessed to be maternal spouse of God, partnering in bringing new life to the world. It's marvelous. Christmas and Epiphany consider the spouse himself, Jesus, the one who at Christmas time we consider the humanity, the astonishing humility of God in God's self-emptying for us in the incarnation. But then Epiphany, which means aha, says, but not just human, also God, also divine. And so in Epiphany, there's all kinds of feasts and celebrations that celebrate the divinity of Jesus. You've got in there the wise men coming from the east, the ones that looked up to the stars and they saw that the cosmos knew about this marvelous event. We celebrate during Epiphany the wedding feast of Canaan, that Jesus took this stuff, water, and just turns it into living celebration. So human, yes, but not just human, right? Human and divine, fully human, fully divine. So it's a broad season. So this next song, it comes from Epiphany, and it celebrates the coming of the Magi, the wise men. Several years ago, I was recording a new album, a Christmas album, and a friend of mine phoned me up and said, Steve, I hear you're doing a Christmas album. And I said, yes. And he says, please tell me you're doing something new. You're writing something new. It's not just same old, same old. And I said, well, of course it's same old, same old. Like, what else is there to sing about? Everything's been done, you know? And he says, oh, please write something. And I said, like what? What would I write about? Everything's been done 1,000 times. He says, write something about the wise men. And I said, like what? What would I write about the wise men? And he said, well, exactly. What happened to those guys anyway? And something clicked. I thought, oh my goodness, we've got this wonderful story about these Persian astrologers who suddenly get interrupted in their life by heavenly announcements, the stars literally announcing that everything has just changed powerfully and dramatically, and they leave everything familiar to them, travel at night, because apparently that's the only way you can follow a star, of course, which would have been dangerous and unnerving. And then they find a child in reasonably unremarkable circumstances, not looking much like a king, but somehow they know that this is who they were to leave their gifts for, and they do. And then they go home a different way. They don't go the same way they came. And to me, metaphorically, that works wonderfully, because once you meet that child, all roads are new. Oh, one more thing I forgot to tell you before I do the song. I wrote the song with my friend Jamie Howison, and we wrote it from the perspective of one of the wise men, maybe 40 years after the event. We tried to imagine what went on in these guys' minds, and when they went back home, what did they tell their friends they had done? And we tried to think of that. And so we set the song 40 years later, and the words are on the lips of the last remaining wise guy. Everyone else is long gone. They've all passed on, and he's the last guy, and he's failing in his age and his health. Nobody knows what to do with him, so they've given him a position teaching Wise Men Wannabe 101 at the local university, and he's surrounded by these young people who are looking for wisdom. And he suddenly has this memory of this crazy trip he took as a young man and met this kid, and he's never been at home since. It totally unsettled all his settled notions of what's meaningful and true and good, and he tells them this story.
I remember how it started still. Those are days that I remember well. It was something in the stars, was new enough to tell there was something going down. So we set out for a foreign land with no idea what we just might find. 'Cause when you're following a star, you have to walk at night. Sounds crazy even now. And still the search goes on for my way back home. 'Cause I can't go back the way I've known. And now the road for me has changed. Nothing seems to look the same. Don't get me wrong, I'm not complaining. And every star along the way holds a promise for the day when I will be at home again. Yeah, yeah. Some tell me I'm a wise man, a kind of sage, you know, it makes me laugh. 'Cause I don't know what I'm not, barely know what I am, if you know what I mean. But everybody can remember when they had to stop and start all over again. It was something about that boy in Bethlehem. I will never be the same. And still the search goes on for my way back home. 'Cause I can't go back the way I've known. And now the road for me has changed. Nothing seems to look the same. Don't get me wrong, I'm not complaining. And every star along the way holds a promise for the day when I will be at home again. Yeah, yeah.
That song was called Old Sage. I wrote that with my friend Jamie Howison quite a few years ago. I like singing it still. I got one more song to do for you for this little episode, this little reflection. I said earlier in the first episode that I've written a series of short booklets on the different feasts of the year, the different seasons. So this is the one on Advent. And one of my favorite saints' days is in the season of Advent, and it's the feast of St. John of Kronstadt. He's a Russian Orthodox. He was a Russian Orthodox priest from the late 1900s, I believe. 1800s. And I discovered a book of his several years ago. It's called My Life in Christ, St. John of Kronstadt. And it's just a series of prayer reflections that was written over a period of many, many years. Somebody collected these, and he just had a stunning appreciation for the dignity of the human person. And we've already spoken about this, that Advent really is a time, of course, it's about waiting for Jesus and getting ready for the incarnation, but it also reflects on the human person and our role in salvation history. Prototypical of that is Mary, the maternal spouse of God. And so there's a dignity to being a human being. And the dignity is that we've been called to profoundly cooperate in the salvation of the world. And he gets it. Father John was a lover of people. He was a priest in the town of Kronstadt. It was a rough town. A lot of violence, a lot of substance abuse. And whenever he saw somebody sort of in the gutter, he would pick them up and he'd dust them off and he'd say, "This is beneath your dignity." And then he had this stunning metaphor of the human person. And this is what he said. He said, the human person is like this. Well, I'll just read it. He says, "Judge for yourself how great is man, how great man may become, for God abides in him, and he in God, so that Christ himself and not man lives in a Christian. The whole soul becomes Christ's, just as iron in burning coal becomes fire, as if it were burning. Everything is fire. Everything is light. And he compares metaphorically the human person to a piece of iron. And if you take a cold piece of iron and place it in a fire, it is the nature of iron to take on the qualities of fire. It first takes on heat. It starts to warm up. If you leave it in long enough, it takes on light. It starts to glow, first red, and then if you leave it in long enough, white hot. It takes on things that are not its nature. And you can actually take the iron out of the fire and it'll retain those qualities. It'll retain the light and the heat for some time. You can hold it up as a beacon. You can burn. You can probably start a fire with it. But if you leave it out too long, it just turns back to cold metal again. And so John's tireless message to the citizens of Kronstadt and to us echoes that of Saint Athanasius centuries before. And the word is this: lay your life in the fire of God's divine love, so that you may become by grace what he is by nature. Again, anything less is beneath your dignity. I'm going to say it again. Lay your life in the fire of God's divine love, so that you may become by grace what he is by nature. Anything less is beneath your dignity. This is Burning Ember.
Judge for yourself how great is the one who lives in God, whose God is love. Like an iron when left in embers bright, everything is fire, everything is light. Oh, love, most beautiful you are. Oh, flame of joy within my heart, burning ember, I remember love's first light in me. I was cold then, like a stone when I saw your flickering. Oh, what beauty as you drew near me, I could scarcely speak. Somehow I knew that I would be new in your glowing. Judge for yourself if a fire isn't safe. When cities fall before its face, and yet a flower can endure the course of a storm by bowing to the tempest's rage. Oh, love, more fierce than all the rest. Oh, raging joy within my breast, burning ember, I remember love's first light in me. I was cold then, like a stone when I saw your flickering, and burn forever, and let me never curse the pain you bring. Somehow I know I will be whole in your burning. La-di-di-da-da-da-da-da. shine forever in the darkest tomb. Warmth of heaven, hidden secret in a mother's womb. Flame of beauty blazing through me, so that all might see. Somehow we know we'll all be whole in your burning, in your burning, in your burning.